Welcome to a special edition of the BumbleKast. I'm your host, Ian Flynn, the Bumble King, and joining me as always is my Bumble co-host, Kyle, JCRB Kraus.
Hi, what's up? This is a very interesting episode. We're talking to a kaiju today, I think.
We are. Thank our wonderful patron, Gawdzilla, for sponsoring today's episode and joining us here on the BumbleKast. And I also appreciate the fact that you did not bring Godzuki, because he just would not fit in here with everything else.
Yeah, it's way too much.
We don't talk about Godzuki for legal reasons.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Ian, Kyle. Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Of course.
Our absolute pleasure. Now, normally when we have folks on the show, they have a Q&A bonanza or a project that they want to pitch or, something decidedly pointed, but you just wanted to come in here and just grace us with your presence, as Godzilla does in every feature film.
It's either that or Stomp Tokyo, but, gotta let them rebuild the city,
Yeah.
every so often.
Yeah, I mean, it's no fun if there's no city to destroy.
Could you come stomp Toronto so people actually acknowledge it exists? The CN Tower is a very big building. You can knock it down. It'll be exciting.
You say that, but I don't know if you guys watched it, but was it Turning Red? That new Pixar film was set in Toronto.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, third act kaiju fight out of nowhere.
So I've heard. I've not actually sat down and watched it yet.
It's fine, but third act kaiju fight, what's not to like?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, really, truly.
Very.
But is not made better by a kaiju fight.
I can't think of anything.
I think we have at least several Sonic games that prove that a kaiju fight is the best way to cap it off.
It makes everything better, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's be honest, is Perfect Chaos not just Water Biolante?
Pretty much.
I know it. I'm sure Toho knows it, but let's Sega get away with it.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, either a kaiju fight or a giant robot fight. Either one.
Or both.
Or both, yeah. Or both.
All of the above.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Metal Overlord, whatever his name is, Metal Sonic. Yeah. Mecha Dragon, best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Giant robot kaiju. It's the perfect merger. It's like peanut butter and chocolate. It just goes together.
Exactly.
I love it.
Now, if we can just get that Sonic Godzilla crossover going, then we will have that peanut butter chocolate. I've tweeted it so many times, Ian. So many times.
They're doing Godzilla and Power Rangers crossover, which is incredible. Something I never thought would happen. So,
have you guys actually read those issues
Yet? No,
not yet.
I have not. But I do want to.
Let me tell you. I won't give too many spoilers away. The story's simplistic, but that's just kind of what you need for this story. And they kick off the first issue with the fight you want to see, which is Godzilla versus the Dragon Zord. And not to make an illusion, but Godzilla plays the role of Bane to the Dragon Zord Batman. It's just. I think I've posted the art before in one of the channels, but it is just, it's the Dragon Zord is a copy of a copy.
Yeah.
It's never going to match the original.
No, but, it's just a bit of a curb stomp battle.
It's kind of the thing, because the basic premise is Rita Repulsa has decided she's tired fighting the Power Rangers because she loses all the time, all the headaches, so on and so forth. So she and her collective Goldar, Squat, Babu, Finster decide to jaunt over to another dimension where the Power Rangers don't exist. But in this Angel Grove, there are other forces that she has to contend with. One of a giant radioactive lizard that we all know and love, my namesake. And so she actually, she teams up with the Planet X aliens from Monster Zero.
Nice.
Those wonderful 1960s, ray gun sci-fi aliens. Again, that's probably my favorite film from the Showa era, so it had me sold. And the way they're just parading all the monsters, and there's about 2 issues left, and of course they're saving the big gun, which is probably, if you know Godzilla, you probably know who he and the Power Rangers are going to team up and fight. They've pretty much put it on the covers, so
Yeah.
I mean, but it's like, you know what? I've seen him fight that 3-headed dragon so many times. I'm not going to say no.
It does beg the question, is there really anyone that can stand up to King Ghidorah in terms of presence? Like, there isn't any other boss monster to be had.
I would say yes. I mean, he's got the legacy and the longevity. I would say Mechagodzilla in its very incarnations has been used into similar effect. Obviously, look at Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yeah.
But that's your giant mecha. I would say the only one they really haven't gone back to that could be, you know, the Thanos of Godzilla, the Mephiles, the Dark, if you will, would be Destroya, just because he was designed to be the Godzilla killer, and his movie is metal as hell.
Destroya.
He looks metal as hell.
Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah. Destroya. It's a badass
I would make
name.
the distinction in that Mechagodzilla is kind of more of the rival. It's the Metal Sonic to the Sonic. It's a very personal grudge match. Whereas Ghidorah is the big boy.
Yeah.
Ghidorah is the problem.
Yeah. I have this great meme I made years ago where it was comparing the Godzilla mechs to the Sonic, obviously, the Sonic robots. God, why can't I say that? So obviously you had the Mechagodzilla to the Metal Sonic. Though I did have Shard being like the companion to Kiryu, which is, the one they use all the bloody time nowadays. I'm more partial to Mechagodzilla 2 from 1993, just because that's when I was a kid and I love him dearly. But then, of course, I had Omega as Megaera, and then Gemerald is kind of your Jet Jaguar. He's your Ultraman-esque super, Gridman type.
That feels right, yeah, for him.
Now, yeah.
I do like I don't think I've ever seen any of the Shea era movies, actually. I need to get on that, of the 80s and into the 90s.
Okay, so that's the Heisei era. Started in 85.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard a few different pronunciations of it, so I wasn't sure, but yeah. Okay.
I always call it the Heisei. That's basically Godzilla 1985, Godzilla Biollante,
right?
Godzilla King Ghidorah, Mothra, Mechagodzilla 2, Space Godzilla, and Destroya. That's, its self-contained little arc.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
And then that was at that point that became, it kind of went dormant for a while, and then they licensed it out to Americans, and oops.
Yeah, that's the funny story that most people know, but maybe not the casual enjoyer, is that Toho was so dissatisfied, is probably the appropriate term to use.
Oh, yeah.
With the TriStar film, that they said, okay, we were going to wait a couple more years, but no. We got to get things going. So, oddly enough, the last film of the Millennium era, which is Godzilla Final Wars, which is about as campy as all get out.
Okay. Yes, it is.
That's where you see Godzilla just raffle stomp Zilla. And there was much rejoicing. Though I think all Godzilla fans kind of have this love-hate relationship with 98. Like, we enjoyed it as kids, and then we just realized this isn't what the name is on the box, and then we vehemently hate it for years to decades, and then I'm like, it is what it is. You accept it for what it is.
It's like opinions have softened a little bit on it, Zilla is kind of all right, and then of course people do talk a lot about the animated series that was actually good, that spun off out of it. So, although I never watched that, I don't know why. I never did. So
it's not really Zilla's fault that he was in a bad movie, and he had an absolutely killer ad campaign.
Yeah. The marketing was
Taco
insane.
Bell, I think I need a bigger box. I remember those.
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm.
Those are great.
And the teasers of like the eyes and the feet on various skyscrapers to give you just a sense of the scale.
The Puff Daddy Led Zeppelin cover of Kashmir.
And the Godzilla version of Green Day's Brain Stew.
I forgot about that one.
It's like, what? It's the same song, just with random Godzilla screonks throughout it. It's like, what? Why is this a thing? Well, sure.
It was a different time.
And
it was the 90s. Most people don't remember them. Things were a lot different. Sonic was a lot different in the 90s.
Yeah. I mean, there was that whole back half of the 90s where Sonic almost didn't exist.
It's just true.
It was like, where'd he go?
I have a fun story kind of that back 90s Sonic story. It was about 1997, I believe. I was in third grade, and my parents took me out of school early, kind of in June, because we planned this great summer vacation to Alaska. My grandfather came up with us, flew up from California to Anchorage, rented an RV, toured the Kenai Peninsula, went fishing. And on the way back, because to get to where we were, you have to fly Anchorage to Seattle to San Jose, California, because at that time, that's pretty much all Alaska Airlines had. It wasn't the domestic juggernaut it is today. So we had a red-eye flight from Anchorage to Seattle, and I'm mowing through, the various airport tchotchke shops and went to the news rack. And lo and behold, I was so excited. They had an issue of Knuckles. It was the latest one, which I immediately had my parents bought, and I read it to Kingdom Come. And it was also funny because we also got bumped up to first class for that flight. But it was the final issue of the great LSD arc.
Okay.
So just to kind of give some time space, I'm reading on a plane of Charmy taking Mello's body back to his home kingdom. I'm like, okay.
It's a little dark.
But a little dark, but, for however old I was at the time, I'm like, hey, look at Julie Sue and Remington kicking old generic gangster rabbit's face. Something downtown hair, maybe? I don't know.
Downtown ebony
hair, yeah. Was that a reference to something? I can't remember.
I don't know. Think like he had a Fox Harley Quinn girlfriend. I'm like, is this supposed to be like Fiona in a different life or something? I don't know.
It's so weird.
It was weird, but it was just how things went.
Was that your first issue?
No, God.
Oh, okay.
My first issue, I'm sure again, since I was born in 89, just, won't give too much about me. I'm older than Sonic, but at the same time, young enough that it's hard to remember before and when, somewhere in the 93, 94 era, that I really got into it. So I'm sure I had an issue too of the pre-50s, issues, but I definitely remember like my parents got me my Archie subscription somewhere, like I think it was either the weird Sonic Noir issue where, he's got the zoot suit, or I think I started there because I remember like 2 months later, I got that blew my mind, the cover, Spaz's cover of Supersonic Hyper Knuckles versus Mammoth Mogul. And that just one of those issues that just sticks with you. Like, oh my God. And then, like, oh my God, Tails is Super 2. What is going on? I love everything about it.
Yeah, that was a big spectacle issue.
That whole issue was based on that Knuckles arc, which I think I had those issues too. Now I think about it. It's just a long time ago, guys.
Yeah. Remembering things is hard.
It is.
Like, I don't really remember a time before Mario. I vaguely remember a time before Sonic, but there's always been Mario. So it's kind of funny that way.
Yeah, I didn't get a Genesis till like, I think 94, 95. My parents were a little older and they wanted me to, go play outside, touch grass. which probably has served me well in the long run of, enjoying things in fandoms. And I know when to say, you know what, I'm going to put it down for the moment. Go take a walk outside. Enjoy the fresh air.
Mm-hmm.
Good job.
Mm-hmm.
Good idea. It's never a bad thing.
There is one thing I wanted to say. I want to say congratulations to you, Ian, for obviously all the things that you have been announced and achieved over the last year. I also wanted to say, how good does it feel with issue 50 to say, I've finished a story? Like, I started it, it ended it. There's no real life event beyond my control that has just basically thrown all my plans, all my little seeds down the drain. You're able to, like, I started Starline on this arc. I finished it. There's catharsis for everyone. Well, not everyone yet, but Surgeon Kit have feelings too.
Well, I mean, I did that a few times over because with IDW, I wanted to make sure that we had smaller, conciser arcs. So, we told the Neo Metal story. We told Metal Virus. Those are complete. And Evan has been super supportive in coordinating with me doing this, side material while she ran the main book, and, letting me come in and take that big anniversary 50th issue to wrap everything up. So it was nice to see it all come together. Absolutely. But
go ahead.
It's not quite as, it doesn't have that looming sense of dread, I guess, which is probably naive on my part. You never know what's going to happen. But I'm not thinking in terms of the 2, 3, 4 years anymore, because it's not my book to do that. And that lesson I've at least learned.
It's been hard. I know it's probably been hard for you to kind of break away from that because you've just been doing it for so long. So to have someone else in the driver's seat is probably, it seems like there's a bit of an adjustment period there.
There is. And it's more of an issue of me going, I don't have to plot this. I don't have to think about this.
Yeah.
Obviously, I have to, read and research. I need to, make sure that I'm not undercutting anybody's moment or ignoring a plot point. But I don't have to be the guy anymore. I don't have to orchestrate stuff. And it's fun because I get to read things and, I don't necessarily know exactly how it's going to play out panel to panel because I didn't write it. It's a new book for me. I mean, I know what's going to go on. I talked to Evan. I know what's happening, but it's different. I can, kind of read the book again instead of just make it. And that's fun.
Yeah.
I can imagine that it's got to be some sense of freedom. Say, you know what? I can take a step back, and whenever I get pulled back in, I can play and bounce things off. I don't have to drive anymore. I can ride shotgun and take my nap every so often.
It's more that I feel like I have to be very mindful because just because I don't have to do it anymore doesn't mean I don't do it on autopilot anyway. Yeah. I could go nuts. If there were no restrictions, I'd be writing for days. So it's like, no, this is Evan's run.
Yep.
So every now and again, I just kind of slide into her DMs and say, hey, so I had an idea. You got room for this maybe somewhere? Is this okay? Please.
Well, the point is you're communicating, and that's the key.
Yeah. That's an improvement over some previous Sonic comic writers.
Immense respect for her talent and her work ethic, and we are very open and direct with one another. Like, it's not like we're gonna say, oh, we have to agree to this one particular idea because of this, that, and the other. It's like, well, what about this? What about this? This isn't working for me, but what if you did it that way? When we were going over next year's plans, it's like, hey, what if we did this way? And it's like, oh yeah, that's the stuff. I'm so glad you are giving feedback. That's a tasty bit of plot line there.
See, I'm kind of the same way. I'm more of a verbal processor, so the more people I can bounce ideas off of, you get the different perspective. You can see sometimes the flaw in your own writing argument plan, and then you're like, oh my god, that idea is amazing. Yes.
Hey, it's been very fun working with her, and I don't know, we got some good stuff
Evan's
coming up.
great. I've enjoyed pretty much all of her story arcs, from Days Gone Past to Fan to her current run. So I think Evan is great.
Oh yeah, absolutely. She's done wonderful work so far. So hopefully, maybe everyone will finally start giving her the credit she deserves instead of attributing everything to Ian, like has been happening for a decade and a half almost at this point. Nearly, very nearly. It's like, come on.
What do you got going on right now? What are you reading, watching, playing? What media are you consuming?
What media am I consuming? Obviously, of course, I'm reading Sonic IDW. I am kind of excited to see kind of how the tail end of 50 kind of goes into what's going on in the future. I have some ideas. I think where Evan is going to take things kind of with certain issues, the chaotics issue, kind of saying, okay, I could definitely see things from here happening down the road. But a lot of that, I'm going to like, let's see what happens next. I just finished binging The Boys. Yeah, which is great. It show's great. It's a wonderful American satire. A lot different than the comic book run, but I think for the better.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah. I'm not too familiar with it myself, unfortunately.
Yeah, I read bits and pieces of the comic, and it was fine. Never quite my personal cup of tea, but, I had seen like season 1 and 2 via osmosis on YouTube. So then I realized, oh wait, I do have Amazon Prime, and the new season starts. Let's go through it. And I'm like, wow, the writing is tight. The acting is off the charts. Carl Urban, if you like him and his various stuff, he's fantastic. And I can't really say much more. Gets a little into the adult side of things, but we keep things clean. Honest to God, I've pretty much been working. I had a promotion at my work a couple months ago, so it's been learning the new ropes. I haven't really had much time to do things, though. I did get Sonic Origins, had a lot of fun with that, especially kind of tickling that nostalgia bone, forgetting how infuriating Silver Sonic and the Death Egg were. And then it's like, all right, I don't have any rings. Let's start this process all over again.
Luckily, that version makes it easier.
Yeah, I mean, again, absolutely no lies. I remember when I was young just freaking out because I died on my last life. Because I think I stockpiled so much in Casino Night, but then Metropolis just drained me of them all.
I remember being as a kid and slogging
but then it was so
Metropolis.
Fun with 3 and K because again, but when I got to 3 and K, with the way they have it, so there's not so much life. They have the coins, which was really helpful to me because I was always terrible at the special stages. So to get the Chaos Emerald as fast as I could and to just cheese the last 3 bosses of 3, it's just like, oh, here comes Eggman. Well, guess I'll go super and just stand there and just, cheese all over him. It was great. But then getting into the back end half of 3 and K and kind of realizing that Giant Egg Robo is a lot easier than the Death Egg.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I never had any. Also, the only glitch I had, which is one I purposely exploited, is the glitch if you have all the emeralds and you see Knuckles pop out at the beginning of Mushroom Hill. If you go into the warp ring right as it transitions, if you say restart, it will basically, you'll skip all of the levels and go directly to Hidden Palace. So.
Yeah, it'll warp you to Hidden Palace. Which is like,
so it's like, oh, I don't have to slog through Sandopolis anymore. Heyo. Though I do actually kind of like Lava Reef, especially when you get to the point when you have the Death Egg looking down at you. And just,
I know the music is so good too.
Atmosphere is great.
And then you grab a fire shield and just cheese the boss. It's like, I'm going to stand on the magma. What you going to do about it? Nothing.
Well, I usually have supersonic by then, so. Or hyper.
Yeah, I did that when I had it. When I decided to use it, I'm like, oh, I didn't get my emeralds up. I can just go supersonic. I'm just going to stand here.
Yeah.
I also forgot, it always kind of cracks me up now how fast Sky Sanctuary is. It feels like up, down, Mechasonic here, up, Mechasonic again, here I am.
It's very short, yeah. It's not...
I almost feel like Sky Chase is longer in Sonic 2, but...
It might, maybe.
Comparable.
It might at least feel longer because it's just a lot of waiting, because Sky Chase is an auto-scroller, so you have no choice but to wait around. And there's a whole segment of the Wing Fortress flying by where you have to sit and wait. Yeah, and nothing's really happening, but you're just kind of watching it, so... Which was pretty impressive back at that time, but I mean, nowadays it's kind of like, okay, come on, hurry up.
Yeah. Though I do remember something when I had beaten them all the first official run. I was over my frustrations and distaste of Sonic CD. It did not vibe with me at all. But I kind of realized, like, you know what? It was wonderful having this throwback to the classic GD, but I think it kind of reinforced my love of 3D Sonic, which, again, really excited for Frontiers. I like that it's getting a lot of positive buzz in the last month or so excited for that. Because I think, kind of, as I mentioned earlier, I was so young back in the early 90s where I could play the game. Sonic 2 was the first game I ever owned, ever beat. But at the same time, since I think I had really maybe a few toes in the games, but more like a foot in the comics, in the cartoons, that was always kind of the main Sonic to me, even though I'm like, yeah, he's a video game character first. Once we got those more stories into the adventure going forward, those became the games that really had the affected me. I remember the first time I got a Dreamcast for Christmas, I think in 2000, but I had rented, my old local video store would rent out systems, so I'd rented out a Dreamcast a few times. I remember the first time I grabbed it and I immediately was going to play Sonic. Like, I'm grabbing Sonic. This is before I know you had the VMU to save.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I've heard the story so many times.
Friday night, I'm so excited. It's the opening thing. It's this happening. And I am just floored. I'm like, Sonic speaks in the games? Again, I'd seen the OVA. I'd seen the cartoons. I know Sonic had a voice, but it was just so weird to hear it from a video game. And then, obviously the next day when I booted it up again, okay, I have to play everything over again. I think it was either by my second or third renting of Sonic Adventure that I actually bought a VMU separately. So when I actually got my Dreamcast for Christmas, the only things I had to do was beat the Egg Viper and Jake's campaign. I remember beating Perfect Chaos on Christmas Day.
Wow. That's a good Christmas right there.
Very good Christmas. But then came the long slog to SA2.
Which was only a year.
Was I super excited for that. It was Hollywood Video they had this poster with Sonic and Shadow, coming out in, April or May.
Oh.
It's not out. I'm like, and of course it came out in June, and playing it on the Dreamcast, that was fun. I replay both Adventure and Adventure 2 about once a year, and janky controls aside, those two are always going to be my favorites.
I mean, they're SA1 is personally the one I like of those two. That's my personal favorite. Just the pacing of SA2 is always something that just sticks in me. Like,
I think, gun to my head, I'd probably pick SA2, but I kind of flip flop because I think the level tracks in SA are just, they stick in my brain.
Right.
Though, just not to say SA2 does not have amazing level tracks as well. Aquatic Mine is my vibe. That is pure vibe. I don't even care if that level is a pain in the butt. I could listen to that song all day.
I mean, SA1 doesn't have Metal Harbor, so that's definitely something SA2's got in its favor.
You know, I like Metal Harbor, but I was never over the moon with it.
I get that. I mean, maybe I'm the weird one. I know Green Forest is probably more the one that people seem to like.
You know,
but part of it's also the music.
The music. Final Rush was one that I had trouble a lot as a kid, but because there's something, I don't want to say claustrophobic, but the fact that it's kind of that sense of vertigo. It's like, oh, if I miss this rail, I am falling to earth.
Yeah.
But then that's fun, which is hilarious because for as much trouble I had for that, Final Chase with Shadow, I just breezed through.
Well, it's a little different since that's more about those weird gravity barrels.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the rail, sure, but Final Rush is more like, here, get from point A to point B, and all you have to run on is spaghetti.
This is nothing but rails. That's it. It's just rails.
Did you ever take the Earth Rail, as we called it?
I don't think I know that one. That would be news to me.
It's somewhere within like the first third of Final Rush, I think. It's been a while. But there's this one rail off to the side where you hit it, and because of the way that the draw distance is handled, it looks like it's going just straight into the skybox into Earth. It's this extremely steep angle going just straight down, and for a little bit, there's like nothing else to the level. You're just grinding straight towards the atmosphere, and then it veers off and does something weird, and it's like this huge level skip.
The level skip I always did was like in that, again, first third was where the three rails go and they start rappling around that pylon for like ever. I was the point where I would jump off and I would literally catch the rail like 50 feet down and skip a good chunk of it.
Yeah,
it was fun. I think one thing SA2 always going to do better than SA1 is, as much as Perfect Chaos was a better final boss than the Biolizard, the build-up to the Biolizard through Cannon Core was much more satisfying than just, take Sonic to the Master Emerald, take Sonic to Big's house. Oh, now open your heart and take him out.
It'll be all right.
Though that first time I beat it, the Knuckles section, this is before I learned about the air tank.
Yeah, I remember that.
No, we all remember that one.
Boy, that sucked.
Good times, though.
Sure, if you say so.
I managed to find the air tank by accident.
I think I did too.
I think I might have. Yeah.
So getting to his part of Cannon Core, it's like, how are you supposed to do this without the? You could get here without the air necklace. Oh no!
I think it's kind of one of those things. Is like, if you can beat it without the air necklace, it's like you've punched your card. You cannot question my skill, and then it's like, I'm just going to get it every time.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, once you get to those last levels with like Knuckles, since he's got like 8 different gear he can wear, he looks pretty cool.
He's pretty decked out.
Yeah, I like that they actually showed the item upgrades on the characters during that time. Like, they don't really do that anymore. Then again, they don't have items like that anymore, really, for the characters. So, but it was fun to see them accessorizing. It was different.
It was different.
Yeah.
Different fun. It definitely gave a little replayability. Because it was where it's like, with the Eggman laser cannon, it's in level 1, but you can't get it until you get the iron cannon from level 4. So, reverse. Play it again.
Backtracking, yeah.
No,
that
was always fun.
It was fun, yeah. I like that they, extended out the gameplay a little bit and sort of built on it built on what they had. So, yeah, I like it. I need to play SA2 again, actually. It's been a while.
You know, I think the first time I played it in 5 years, it took me about, I think, roughly, I want to say 10 hours just, to breeze through it,
That's not very long, no.
No, not long. I think I about matched the time with SA. I kind of said, okay, well, which game takes longer? Because, again, you have the 6 different stories with the adventure fields. Even if you get all the collectibles combined, just like, here's the 2, story 1, story 2, and then the final chapter. And they about evened out, which kind of blew my mind because I was, hearing them say, that Frontiers could take you 30 to 40 hours. I'm like, whoa. Won't delve too much in horror because I don't want to put Ian in any precarious positions. So.
Oh, you can talk about it all you want. I'm just going to sit here and kind of silently smile and nod.
Exactly. We can, the Sega snipers can, back off. I don't.
Why do you think I'm nodding? It's harder for them to draw a bead if I do that.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Distract them with Minda.
Yes.
You say that, and she jumps up here and starts eyeing the mic stand. Don't you do it.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Here you go.
Oh, no.
Cat attack.
I was more of a dog person myself.
Me too. Oh, wow. Oh, well. Sometimes cats are fun. Actually, I do. There's a few cats I actually like, but I did like Ian and Lee's cats. Tenebrae and Midna are pretty cute.
My aunt and uncle live here in Seattle, and they're cat people, so that their cats are probably the ones that kind of I can stand and can stand me. People either love me or hate me, and most cats hate me. So,
well, you are a giant kaiju, so that tends to be a problem sometimes. You get a little too stompy.
A little too stompy.
The animals don't want to hang out. They just either run away or you accidentally crush them or intentionally crush them. I don't know I don't live your life. I don't know what you do.
I don't know. Question for you, Ian, and forgive me if this puts you, if you can't say anything. Because it looks like the 2022 annual is going to be kind of the theme of, we're going to randomly, pitch these little stories. And from the covers, I'm really excited, especially for the Omega story, because we all need more Omega in our lives. Let's be real here. But
I will not contradict that.
Nope, we need more.
I think, little sidebar to the sidebar, one of our first tweet interactions was I made the comment, it was like, well, what happens if Omega, destroys all of Eggman's robots and Eggman with them? Are we just going to do the Terminator 2 ending where, Shadow and Rouge lowering him into the molten tank? I remember tweeting at you, and we wrote some lines. I'm like, oh my god, this is perfect.
Yeah,
I'm never not gonna forget that. I think then I followed it up with asking if you had any plans for like a Mobian Shadow back, and you're like, it's kind of in the Lost Hedgehog stuff, but blah blah blah. I did, and then I made some crack about the Dark Legion. Instead of being techno, people were just like the Amish. And I think you started laughing, but
well, Craig Hawk, it's a good Amish name.
Yeah, sure.
And I just started picturing, it's the beginning of Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny, and then you got all of them, and Julie Sue goes off on her teenage rebellion and joins fascist nuts.
There you go.
There you go. What was I originally saying though? I got sidetracked. Oh, well, it happens.
You've had a question for Ian, I think.
Yes.
About the annual. Yeah, it's about the annual.
So what kind of sparked the idea of, like, we're going to do these stories about just the random, like, interactions? Like, the big cover, of course, was, like, Rouge and Tangle and Rough and Tumble, and that story just sounds amazing on so many levels. If you can say anything. Just, like, what sparked the idea of we're going to do all these, not giving away the individual, stories, and that kind of like, hey, we need a theme, let's do this. Was that just basically it? Did I make any sense at all?
Yeah. The annuals are more driven by the editors.
Okay.
They come up with the central theme, and then they reach out to the various talent and say, we're open for pitches, and we're looking for stuff in this general direction. What do you got?
And I'm sure that's when you bust out your notebook of, oh, I have ideas.
Let's see. Of these 12 options, you may pick 24.
Exactly.
And everybody, throws their hats in the ring, and some ideas work better than others for a particular theme. I'm very happy that I got to do the one I'm doing because it's a story with a couple of characters that I have wanted to interact for a long time. So it's good stuff. But
like I said, I'm excited for the previews covers they released about a month ago. They put me over the moon, and I'm just like, I'm in. I'm sold.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing some characters who have never really interacted much before actually get a chance to. That's going to be fun.
Well, we're also used to the standard Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy dynamic, and I think kind of as a overarching thing of the franchise in general, it may be what some people did not quite get back in the 90s to early 2000s, is it all kind of has to funnel through Sonic.
Right. So
a lot of the side characters is like, what is their relationship in the book in relation to Sonic? Which is also kind of funny, like going back to my favorite murder bot, Omega and Sonic, outside of what we recently saw in IDW during the Metal Virus and a little bit of the, Badnik bases and Chow races, or is it whatever reversed the title, they have not had really any interaction throughout the games and even the old continuities of Archie. So it's like, okay, this is kind of a fun thing. Because, again, when you start to think about it, Omega's more of a Shadow character than he is a Sonic character.
Pretty much,
yeah. Because
we see Rouge with Sonic, we see Cream and Big with Sonic, obviously Tails, Knuckles, and Amy, like I mentioned, just about everyone. But it's like, though, I still remember, since I grew up with the Archie comics, I still think of Vector, Espio, and Charmy as Knuckles characters. So every time I see Vector show up and start interacting with Sonic, I'm like, this seems strange to me. I know they're Sonic characters, but I always associate him with Knuckles more than I ever do with Sonic. So it's just kind of a weird thing for me.
No, you're not alone. It's an adjustment I've had to make myself. Now I think of them more as their own collective unit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of helps bridge that divide. It's okay, the Chaotix are with Sonic, but it's because it's the Chaotix.
Except for the random times where we're just going to throw Vector out by himself, like Sonic Boom, Sonic Team Racing,
Yeah.
So the thought of Charmy behind the wheels of a vehicle scares me.
It's really just like a play seat. It's Espio that's driving. It's just Charmy sitting next to him and just inputting various things.
He's operating all the Wisp weapons. And
it's like on
the edge of the seat, gripping the steering wheel, oh god, this better work.
I was just thinking of The Simpsons with Maggie in the passenger seat holding the steering wheel.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. I like it. It's so weird though that having Vector not be with any other member of the Chaotix for that game. It's what?
Yeah, it's we're gonna pair him off with Blaze and Silver, and it's huh? Okay.
Yeah, this is odd. I made some really odd decisions with that game in general, I think.
It's fun racer, don't get me wrong, but yeah, some of the beats are okay.
Yeah.
And as great as Silver and Blaze are as a pair, they don't fit nicely into the Trinity model that so many other teams do.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you could put Marine in there, but she's only shown up once.
Yeah. And again, and as we've talked about ad nauseum, the trick with Blaze and Silver is they're separated from the main continuity by space and time.
Yeah.
Blaze is I got my own dimension. Silver's I got my time where no one knows me, but I'm still here until it goes bad, and then I show up again. We all give cracks of we gotta get Knuckles off Angel Island so he can participate in the story. But for as bad as he has it, Blaze and Silver have it worse.
Oh, tenfold.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Blaze and Silver look at him and say, you don't know nothing.
Silver, you should just stay.
It is kind of funny that the Silver Trunks parallel, just because, right as you said, Silver, you should just stay. Ian, you've seen Dragon Ball Super, right?
Yeah, for the most part.
For the most part. The end of the future Trunks Goku Black arc, where Trunks goes back to a future, even though his future has literally been erased. So he's going to go live in a future where there is already another one of him his age. Just stay. The other Trunks is a kid. You can have Trunks be a teen, have him interact with Goku and Vegeta, but then you can also have Kid Trunks to hang out with Goten.
Yeah, have him be a mentor role and put your hair back to lilac. Being blue is just weird.
Yeah, it is. I don't get because what's funny is, again, lilac was Bulma's original hair color in the manga. And then they changed it to blue. And then
they took Strong Bad's advice. You got to have blue hair.
Gotta have blue hair.
You got to have the blue hair.
Though, speaking of which, have you seen any of those trailers for Dragon Ball Super Superhero, Ian?
I have seen some. I'm trying to steer away from some of it already. I've been spoiled.
Yeah.
So
it's one of those things where it's like, it released in a different country. That's the main market for it. It's the modern day internet. Kind of have to roll with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited for what has been spoiled. I want to see it through, but it's like,
well, I got my Broly movie, so I'm totally fine.
Yo, can we just take a moment to say how freaking great the Broly movie is?
It is kind of, you have to look at like today's modern thing of like, we're going to take all the 80s, 90s nostalgia and reboot it. And there's no doubt that Broly was the strongest alternative canon 80s, 90s character from those Dragon Ball Z movies. And Toriyama's like, okay, yeah, fine, I'll do something with him. And then they put out arguably the best Dragon Ball movie ever.
Yeah, like, it's not just, a good Dragon Ball movie. It's a good action movie, period. And it's arguably the best Dragon Ball movie, given how much because what Dragon Ball likes to do is like just continually build forward without a ton of retrospective. Things happen and then they just can kind of continue to roll on. Whereas the Broly movie looks back at so much prior continuity and puts so many things into context and builds on them. Like, just the bit where, Broly is starting to lose and Frieza gives Paragus that side eye and has that flashback to Krillin back on Namek.
Like, what if I do this? And
the fact that he put 2 and 2 together like that shows more continuity than most of the bloody Z series at all.
Oh, yeah. And of course, then he gave his, Oscar performance of, oh, it's such a tragedy. And then, 5 minutes later, he's getting stomped on for 10 minutes while they figure out how to fuse.
I busted a gut when, I don't remember if they specified it in the movie, but you have to wait a full 30 minutes for a botched fusion to reset. So every time they're cutting back to Frieza, he's been getting smooshed for 30 minutes straight. It's like a Looney Tunes bit, and you don't care because it's Frieza. He deserves it. Oh, my God.
People kind of forget how durable Frieza is, because I know Dragon Ball power scaling is probably one of the worst things ever, but Jiren beat on him pretty hard at the end of the Tournament of the Power, and there was debates who was stronger, Jiren or Broly, and I think most people said Jiren was probably a bit stronger, or at least knew how to fight.
Arguably, he's more disciplined, to be sure.
Oh, yeah.
So that might give him the edge. But this is the first time.
It's still fun to see Frieza just get destroyed.
They did such a good job revamping Broly. I want to see them give the same treatment to Cooler.
Oh, absolutely. I think with how the story is doing with Super, and the fact that, obviously there's a Super manga that, Toriyama has kind of, he's not writing and drawing, because again, he's basically retired, but, he's kind of overseeing it through his connections through Toei and Shueisha. But, there's some things where they're exploring kind of the space going off of Earth a little bit, which is kind of interesting. And it's like, Frieza's got his galactic empire. He's trying to rebuild it or exactly to that status. But it's like, now feels like the time where if they want to revisit Cooler, it would be kind of right around this time. This feels like, because that was the one thing that was always kind of the bummer, is you never got to see Freezer and Cooler interact. Like, clearly, Cooler hated his little brother, but he's still fighting in his name. It's like, I want to see them just snark at each other.
Like, I want to know, why did King Cold pass over Cooler to go to Frieza?
Yeah, like, that feels like there could be an entire story there.
And, there's that long period where Frieza was dead.
Mm-hmm.
And the Frieza Empire kind of fell apart. So if we're going to have Cooler come back, why didn't he take up that mantle? Was he on another side of the galaxy? Where was he? There's a lot of avenues that you could explore, a lot of things you could do. And I pretty much want him to come back as someone who just really hates Frieza for being the punk that he is, but also hates Goku and his ilk for shaming the family by killing them all. And give him a gold point too, so he can just style on everybody. A platinum Cooler, if you will.
Fun enough, Japan has that Dragon Ball Heroes video game where they do all kinds of crazy things. You see Super Saiyan 4 Broly, Super Saiyan 3 Bardock, etc., etc. Well, one of them they did was Golden Cooler in his Shredder form. That's about the only thing I can describe it. Yeah. Which looked so great, but I'm like, that form to me is more than enough. You don't have to go look like you're a Lakers cheerleader.
No. Hear me out. You get Golden Cooler in that form. Mm-hmm. Then you go one higher to a Platinum Cooler that's very reminiscent of his Metal Cooler look. For that
Ultra Instinct Cooler?
No, not that far. You get your Platinum Cooler so that he's kind of ridiculously strong, and then you bring in Broly with a Super Saiyan God on top of that.
Broly in red would be interesting, because he's always been green. That's kind of been his color.
And maybe he doesn't go a proper red. Maybe it's more of a purple.
Maybe.
Move.
I would say he's kind of going in the purple range. It seems like every character has no, this is my color now.
They do that a lot.
They do.
Now, I don't know.
Even Piccolo's got new colors now.
Chad, we technically don't know about that.
I said too much.
Technically don't know about that, yeah. Do you know if Vegeta's Ultra Ego has set colors?
That's what I was referring to. They showed it. It's basically that Hakai purple God of Destruction look.
Okay.
Kyle, let me tell
just for some context for Kyle, because I know you don't follow it.
Mm-hmm.
The last big kind of power level leap was this concept of becoming so perfectly in tune with your energy and your body that you move instantaneously and are on the level of a god, and they call that Ultra Instinct.
Okay.
And Goku gets that.
Hypersonic.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah.
So Vegeta, you know who Vegeta is. You have to, by osmosis.
I have no choice.
He can't quite get that level, so they end up just making something up for him called Ultra Ego, which is basically the inverse. He is so self-aware that he's a jobber that he gets stronger the more they beat his ass.
Yeah.
Well, basically what happened is kind of like an angel level move. God of Destruction Hakai energy, which is that purple energy. So that's the whole word Ultra Ego is, that he can now do basically the erase, destroy ego versus Destroyer God Top or Topo, as they say, holding basically the same energy.
That kind of came through.
Did
enough.
Anything come out?
it came through enough, but it was definitely.
It came through enough.
It was positive.
I think this might be the sign. Call it a day.
I think
the Japanese government has mobilized us to stop Godzilla.
Yeah.
Japanese Defense Force. Here comes the Super X. Time to boogie.
No.
Well, before we wrap up, is there anything you want to give a shout out to? Anywhere you want to send people after the show?
Not really. I mean, send them here to the BumbleKast. It's been I've been listening for a couple years now, and I haven't regretted it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, we're glad to
Kyle,
have you here.
Any final thoughts for us?
Stay cool. Don't get too stompy, Godzilla. Just hang out a little bit. You know, you'll be needed at some point. We'll call upon you. Humanity will need you. So just hang out. That's it. That's all I got.
All right. Well, thank you again, Godzilla, for sponsoring this episode and joining us on today's show. Thank you all, everyone at home who've been listening. And we will see you next time on the BumbleKast. So until then, be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and we'll see you next time.
See ya. Catch you next time.
Bye.
Monsieur Zilla.
Thank you.
No, this ain't the 98 Godzilla.
Yeah, that's true.
We can blame the French for him.
You've been listening to the BumbleKast, a co-production of Bumble King Comics and the KNGI Network. Original theme music composed by Ken Coda Snyder. Remixed intro by T-Lopes. Find out more information, along with podcast feeder links, MP3 downloads, and more at bumbleking.com and kngi.org.
Sidebar. The first Godzilla movie I ever got, I think I was 2 or 3, was at Kmart. They were a thing back in that day.
Oh, wow.
And it was Godzilla Raids Again, which was the second one.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember putting it into the my VHS, and realizing I thought something was wrong because it was in black and white. I must have been like 2 or 3. I'm like, no, Mom. Mom's like, hey, movies were like that. I'm like, okay. So, and then became lots of money invested into VHSs, and then came DVDs.
Yeah. It's funny that, I think that second one is not looked back nearly as fondly as the first, but that's just
the first one is cinematic history.
Right.
It lost the Japanese Best Picture to Seven Samurai, and those two movies are basically the apex of Japanese cinema. For better or worse, those were the two movies most internationally well known.
Right, culturally, yeah. So it's but I just remember I've seen Godzilla Raids Again, and it's different. It's definitely it's getting toward the bit more silly stuff that was happening later on in the Showa era. So, but
gave us Anguirus, and the world is better for it.
That's true. Yes.
He is the Tails to Godzilla Sonic.
Yes. Although I thought that was Rodan, yeah.
I would say you would think that because they fly. I feel like Rodan's more of a Knuckles.
Okay, yeah, I see that. I see you there. Noni's bringing up that thought Mothra was Tails.
Mothra is who. Well, it depends on how much. Well, let's not get into that, because that could take us down a really dark path. And we're finished.
Okay. Mothra is a whole different can of worms to open up. Oh man.
Yes, let's put it that way.
True. Yeah, that's very true. That's a good point. Also, thank you, Chaos Sonic 1, for sharing that gift finally. I'm glad someone finally did.
The one redeeming scene from Godzilla vs. Megalon.
Yeah.
Outside of Jet Jaguar.
Yes. Although, come on. The MST3K skewering of that movie is legendary.
It was a beauty. I remember watching it as a kid.
It makes that movie. It really does improve that movie several-fold. Same with Godzilla versus a Sea Monster, really. which is such a weird movie.
Fun fact, that's actually was originally supposed to be a King Kong film that Toho was trying to do.
I believe that because it's very weird.
It's very King Kong, you know. You have the island. I mean, because really, a giant lobster versus Godzilla. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Godzilla's going to be feasting on lobster tail in 5 minutes.
Get the butter!
Get the butter!
Yeah, pretty much. That was like so weird. And then like the whole Mothra, I guess, subplot, but not really, because it barely amounted to anything, and then she just kind of shows up at the end finally.
Kind of that, you know, she's the friendly kaiju. It's like, oh, we need someone to come, you know, rescue us. Let's call Mothra. Get the Shinobin on the line.
Yeah, pretty
and then
much.
They sing their song, and you know,
and then Mothra shows up or wakes up. I forget which.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. I'm now imagining Twin Tikal singing the Mothra song.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of what it is.
It really is.
Yeah.
Except, you know, they summon, you know, Perfect Chaos instead. It's like, that's not what we wanted.
You did the wrong thing. Whoops.
Sang the wrong song.
Well, all right. Well, I think that's enough.
I think we're done now.
Yes, we're done for real. We got our post credits content at least.
Well, just like any MCU movie, you gotta stay after the credits.
Exactly. Always stay after the credits.
You just don't know who's gonna pop out in a cryo fridge.
Yeah, it's true.
Because in a couple of years, we might have the best live-action Dragon Ball movie with Sonic and Shadow at fighting each other. I should have mentioned that earlier, 20 minutes ago. Oh, well.
Darn. Oh, well.